Hello, hello, and welcome to The Secret Spice with Cinnamon Alvarez. I am Cinnamon, and I am here with Dominic Syracuse from the Dominist Manifesto. We are
Hey,
going to, welcome.
well,
We
thank
are
you.
going to give some unsolicited advice today. We're going to start by talking about time and time management.
Yes, something I am terrible at.
I've noticed. No. I this is all uncensored, and
Right.
the risk of you participating with me is I get to tell your dirty secrets.
That's
I
right. And I have no control over it. So let's see
Right.
where this goes. I'm excited.
Yeah, there's a term called already listening that's part of a course that I took years ago. And
Hmm.
so when you start to show characteristics, right, then
Right.
people automatically assume that that's what they're going to get from you. So what I expect to get from Dominic is he's definitely going to show up, but it'll be, 5 minutes. And then he has a little bit of setup before we actually get rolling. And I also have this already, the quote, already listening, that it's going to be awesome conversation, even though there's nothing prepared in advance. Which
You know what?
that's me. That's because I don't have anything
Yes.
prepared in advance.
Right. No, no, you pretty much nailed it. You pretty much nailed it. It's funny because I had I play in bands and stuff, and I had a one of the guys in the band say, "You know why I'm never mad when you're late?" And he's talking to me. He's like, "You're always late, but I'm never mad because," he's like, "I can plan on it." He's like, I tell you to get
Consistent.
here. Yeah, he's like, "You're consistently late." So he's like, "I also know whatever time you give me, I just double it. You're there right on that time." And I
Yeah.
was like,
Now, just
yeah.
in case for people listening, like, I love it and I accept that from you, but that's rare. So I am in no way condoning tardiness,
Right.
right? You make up for it, but that's a special exception. Other people in my life are not going to get away from it with it. Not
I
even my own husband. Like,
You're right. My therapist, I'm not kidding. My therapist actually told me once that I have cultivated my entire personality around getting away with being late. She's like,
wow, that's
seriously,
terrible.
I know, isn't that crazy? But okay, we should definitely get into this because it is a habit, and it's a habit I'm conscious of for
Yep.
sure.
Yep.
But
With consequences.
with consequences. I mean, when I was a kid, like the main reason I was in the principal's office all the time was because I was consistently late to every class. I have a reputation for being late. People always know, "Oh, Dom, that's Dom. He's going to be," the joke was, "Dom's always on the way." Dom's always on the way was the joke. But here's what's interesting is that as much as I hated it, because I do hate putting people behind. I hate inconveniencing people. I want to be as professional as possible. But what's super interesting is I never knew how to fix it. I never understood why I was always late. I would think, well, I got to get up earlier. So I get up earlier, still late to everything. I'd make little notes in my phone. Okay, leave this much early, still late, still late. And I never understood it. And then uh, I came back, during quarantine, and I stayed with my family. I'm staying with my family during quarantine. And I realized it's a very uh, the whole nature versus nurture thing. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's something inherent in my whole family, in that somebody will say, "Hey, let's meet for dinner at 7 p.m." And my family is getting ready by 7:15. They're going, "Oh, we're supposed to be there at 7. Let's all start getting ready to go." And it's, 30 minutes past. We show up at 8 o'clock. It's something that while I
That's
realized,
habit. Yeah, because you
yes.
are very consistent. You're actually on time once I change my expectation.
Yeah. Which is horrible to say. Like, I'm not proud of this at all, but it is true. So the interesting thing is, I realized that I have to find a way. I have to find someone to teach me, or I have to go out of my way to, like, learn habits, because even though I recognize it's a problem and I want to change it, I haven't been taught. the opposite. I haven't been taught a productive way. You know what I
So
mean?
let me be like really just, let me challenge you on that.
Hit me. Come
um,
on.
yeah. What if it's just what I call the sexy excuse, like that just keeps letting it be the way it is,
Mm,
versus I would say you have not made it a priority. It works
I
for you, right?
I
You're
would agree.
basically,
Yeah.
you're basically just full of shit. Like, not important enough for
Right.
you to do something about it. It works. It's part
Yeah.
of life,
Yeah.
right? I don't have a problem with it here. So it's like, it's almost like, and this is what's interesting with child rearing too, is
Mm,
you don't want to set that pattern, because now it's habitual, just like drug use or anything else. Is how
right.
do you change that unless there's a consequence that makes it such
Mm.
that you're ready to change it?
I think you're totally right. Like, because I've never had too dire of a consequence because of it, I've never wanted to change it. Whereas with things with my business, there are habits that I have knocked out quick in my business because there was a consequence. You know, one
Yeah.
of which was preparation. I never used to prepare anything. I would just like, let's go. Let's fly by the seat of our pants. I'm good at that. I'm good at improvisation. Let's do it. Until my lack of preparation started withering my business in a tangible way, or I saw how much more I could get once I started preparing. So immediately that was kind of the slap on the butt I needed
Well,
to
and to be
switch it around.
blunt, you might not know there are consequences. I didn't think this was going to be a like beat up Dominic episode,
No, hit
but
me.
like I was daydreaming about live at 5, and I'm like, but Dominic, I can't do it with him because he won't show up on time. Like if it's
Live at
live at 5,
5:18.
right? In fact, part of the reason why I wanted to do it is, do they still do the 5 o'clock funnies? Remember Mark and Brian 5 o'clock
Yeah,
funnies?
absolutely.
And so I would always be so excited tuning in, and I'm like, I need my dose of laughter. But if it didn't happen at 5, I started thinking there was something wrong with me.
Yeah.
Are they still doing it? Am I in the know? What's it? And so I was really like going down this, I call it future fantasy, where I'm thinking like planning out what I'm going to do. And I'm like, yeah, as soon as we get the subscribers and we go live, and I
Right.
want live at 5, because that can be like you're ending your workday. You can connect and you can get this juicy content, you know. But I'm
Right.
like, but not with Dominic, because 5:15, 5:20 is not live at 5.
Right. No, no. And
And so
I,
you might
so,
not know the consequence. You might not know that people have ideas and then
right.
write you off because of it.
Right. Well, and here's what's interesting about that, because somebody has asked me if I'm ever late to shows, because I'm a stand-up comedian and I'm an
Yeah, if you're on
actor,
stage, are you
and I'm
late?
right.
But
And
they
everyone
give
always
you a
asks me
call
if I'm
time that's
late for
early.
shows. And the answer is no, I'm never late for the show, but I'm always late for call time. So for those who don't know, you know, like let's say I'm doing a stand-up show. If I'm going on at 9 o'clock, my call time will be probably 8 o'clock. So
Right.
what that means is I have to be there by 8 to check in with the show promoter, let them know I'm here and all this stuff by 8 o'clock. So even though,
By design for people like you.
yes,
Because
so for the
everybody who
audience,
produces anything says we can't have somebody be late. So a call time of an hour earlier is necessary.
precisely. So it was really funny when someone asked me that, because they said, are you ever late to a show? I said, never. I've never been, I never will be. But what I realized is, oh, I'm always late to call time though. If call time's 8, I'm there at 8:15, you know?
Yeah,
And
so
so,
it's like, it's already built in, right?
right,
It's built in that it's accepted. You show up fashionably late to a party, you can get away with the call time because it's built in for people who are late. So that's
right.
why I don't think you actually have a problem. I think this is a conscious decision and a habit that has been concrete, that works for you.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I'm also, and I want to get into it because I'm really bad. And by that's something I'm consciously working on and reading about. And those days that I feel like I kick ass are the days I actually kind of get a hold of this, which is actually making something of my time. What I mean is, I'm not sure how familiar you are with the different personality types. There's this really neat.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, there's this really neat assessment of personality types that I like a lot called the True Colors Assessment, where they talk about, it kind of breaks down into 4 sections of what is it you value most. Different personalities value things most. So there's the golden personality type, which values order and rules above anything. It's like you stick to the rules. That's how my son is. My son is very much like, no, you can't do that because that's the rules. Stick to the rules, and that's what they prioritize. Then you have the green personality type, which prioritizes logic. They're the ones who go, if it's not logical, I don't care. Give me the data, give me the facts. If it's not, I'm not interested. And then you have the orange personality type, which always prioritizes fun. They want, is it entertaining? I'm getting bored.
It's all about play all the time.
Right. Come on. And then there's the blue person. Now, a lot of people think I'm orange when they do the assessment because they know I'm super goofy and fun and playful and stuff, but I'm actually blue. So I actually prioritize emotion above anything else, which is, how are you feeling right now? How am I feeling? And the thing that makes that really difficult for time management is that if I'm on my way to something really important, but then someone stops and goes, oh, I'm just bummed out about something, I'm like, screw it. Let's talk for 2.5 hours about that, and I just put everything else. It just, to me, the rules or the structure is irrelevant. I'm more interested in the connection and all of that. And
so it's interesting because, and I'm sorry, I like to interrupt.
If you don't interrupt me, I will never shut up.
So I interrupt like you're late. And it happens when I get excited. So, and I know it's a bad, like we're taught we're not supposed to do that, but
yeah,
like if I'm really excited, I'll interrupt more. If I like what you're saying, I'll interrupt more. But no, this is great because this is not the personality types that I thought you were going to go over. There's so many different ones.
There's
disc assessments in business and everything else.
Right.
But yeah, so that's interesting because, like, have you read the book, The 5 Love Languages?
I'm familiar with it. I've never read the book, but I'm familiar with the love languages.
Yeah. So what's interesting is that we have I think we like each other because we like things about ourselves that we see in the other person. Totally, right? It's like, oh, I love that. I love that.
Right.
Right. So that's interesting because, like, one of the things I value most that wasn't in those 4 groups that you talked about, but what I value most is when I give someone my time. And so I think in the love language book, they call it like acts of service, maybe. Like, one of the things I hate to be labeled as is busy. All of my best friends are like, well, I haven't asked you for help because I know you're so busy, or we need to set up a date, but just let me know because I know you're so busy. It makes me feel like a horrible person. Like I don't have enough time for my greatest friends that I love so much.
Right.
But it must communicate through a value of mine is this whole concept of like, no, if I'm going to give you my full attention, my quality time, and I'm going to help you. I'm going to put whatever I'm working on aside. It's not important. And I'm going to help you. That's what I value so much.
Wow.
So that's interesting. And that's a side tangent to time management.
That's excellent. It's excellent because I love how, you're saying that if you're important, if you're part of what's most important to me, then I want to make sure that I make time for you. And that's what I'm realizing what it's really about. I used to have the excuse that I had no time. I used to say that all of the time. I used to go, oh, I don't have enough time. I don't have any time. I just don't have time for that. How do people have time? Where does time go? And what I realized was, no, I just wasn't making time.
Exactly. So that's where, to be harsh, you are communicating. If you're late, you're communicating you're not important at this level. Right? Because what you identify as important is your performance time is important. You understand and you have a buy-in that the showtime is the showtime.
Right.
But you don't think that the call time is important.
Right.
You don't think the party start time is important.
Right.
You don't think a conversation with a friend it's important. So that's where I said, I know that you're going to be here
Right.
because I know you think it's valuable,
Right.
fun, and it's important, and that you'll take on extra time, right?
Yeah,
Make it
absolutely.
longer than we scheduled.
Right.
Right. But
Right.
you're not so it would be interesting is if you really saw like if you really wanted to change. So that's the number one thing with any habit, right? Is like,
Right.
just get real. Like, do you actually want to change it, or do you want to say you want to change it? Probably the latter is true. Probably you don't really want to change it. It's working. Your life is freaking awesome.
It is pretty cool. No, I think,
Right? Like,
I
that's
think,
okay. Just be with that for a second, though.
yeah.
Like,
Well,
yeah, my life is freaking awesome.
it is, no, for real. It's really good.
Good.
And I'm really happy. I think that my immediate gut reaction when you asked it was that I don't want to inconvenience people, or I don't want to put anyone down. And so I think that part of the reason why I get away with it, part of the reason my therapist said that my whole life is my whole personality is built around this whole being late
Time
habit,
conversation. Mm-hmm.
right, is because it's a mindset thing. And what I mean is, if I thought about it like, oh my gosh, I'm really inconveniencing this person and they're not feeling important to me right now, then I would absolutely change, because that's not the case. That's not how I feel. Yeah. My mindset is, oh, no. This person's super important to me. And the second that we lock in, I'm like a pit bull. Like, I'm not going to break off until I fall asleep. Like we're here, we're connected because you are important. I just don't view the start and stop time as that important, unless I know you've got something you've got to get to, and you're pressed and it's important that, it's funny that it's funny you say this. So my son's mother, because she knew me super, super well, she'd do this thing where she would go, it'd be 1 PM, and she'd go, Dom, remember we have that thing tonight at 6. And I'd be like, okay, yeah, for sure. Oh, looks like we're getting I just got the time is running out warning. We'll be okay. Look,
that's okay, because we're going to make you on time to your next appointment.
That's right. That's perfect.
We'll cut this off. Yeah.
So she went like this. She said, Dom, remember we got that thing at 6 o'clock. And I said, don't worry. We got it. Don't worry. And
she was lying, though. I can already tell you, because I'm accustomed to working around this. The thing wasn't at 6 o'clock. It was at 7 o'clock.
That's right. So all day, 6 o'clock, get in the shower. We got to be there at 6. Get in the shower. We got to be there at 6. And then we'd get there. I'd be like, we're fine. And then inevitably we'd get there at 6:15, and I'd go, oh, I'm so sorry. I know you said 6 all day. And she went, it's fine. It started at 7. And then we'd be 45 minutes early. And so that's always a funny story. But admittedly, like, now that I am a business owner, now that I am running the show, now that it's on me to be the responsible one, I don't want to be necessarily taken care of. I don't want anybody having to babysit me or anything like that. So
so the unsolicited advice I would give you, because you're not asking, but I would just say, note it. Like, I think it might take something for you to notice more of the consequences, especially with regards to business, because there are people who are no tolerance. Right. That if you really do show up late, human beings like to be liked.
Yeah.
Probably above all else. We want to look good, right? And we want you to like us. So we are probably not going to tell you if you're being late is a deal breaker for us. So you're going to have to be a little bit like a scientist to discover if and when that's important, and if that's going to cost you a really big gig or something like that. Because my guess is that it does, and it has throughout your life, but you don't really know it, that people aren't telling you.
Oh, wow. No,
I don't mean it I don't want to tell you like from a place of shame, because that's not effective. Like making you feel guilty, or, like, oh, well, that's why she's your ex now.
That's not why she's my ex now.
But consider there is more that you've been losing out on that you don't know.
Yeah.
And so my challenge for you would just be to start keeping your eyes open more and be, because especially you're touchy feely and you know that people feel certain ways and you want them to feel good.
Oh yeah.
And you want to read their responses when
Yeah.
you show up, or they, and because there could be making decisions in the background that you don't know about.
Wow. Yeah, I never thought of it like that.
Yeah.
I guess that's why you do what you do.
You just make it up.
Yeah,
Just make it up.
So then I'm curious. So what's something practical that you think I could do, like an actual practical step or something like that?
Oh man, I was hoping that you weren't asking me, because I really don't have the solution for people who are perpetually late.
Right.
I don't even know if there's any science that shows, there's all different types of tricks that I have. Is my clocks are set 5 minutes faster. But I mean, we're kind of smart rats, right? We kind of learn the way around and when it's important or not. I have a feeling that you're pretty consistent, and I don't know if a trick is going to work necessarily.
Yeah, you make a good point. I once again, I think it's a matter of shifting the mindset towards it.
Yeah, I mean, we know that it takes 21. So let me try to make something up before we run out of time. We know that we're habitual human beings, right?
Right.
And that it takes like 21 days to make a new habit.
Right.
So I would think that, like, if you really wanted to try to do this, and I hate to say even try, like if you're really going to do it and commit to it, then you would have to commit to it just like you would going to a trainer or anything else. And you want to disrupt the pattern, right?
Yeah.
And you want to say, I'm either successful or I fail, and I'm going to set up the structure to make it work so that I'm on time to things, and I'm going to make it really important. And I'm going to be willing to fail, right?
Yeah. The structure is important. Like going back to what you were saying before about how, I'm not late for a show because I have the call time. Like it's set up to
there's
where
a buffer built in.
I can't be late. Yeah.
So right. So like we have technology, and we say, set a time. So if my Zoom call is at 2 or 9 a.m. or whatever, set a reminder for, set an alarm for 6:55. And then it goes beep, 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 and I'm connecting to Zoom. So there are practical ways that I'm making sure that I'm on time.
Right.
I join meetings 15 minutes in advance so I can maximize the time and work on the side. In fact, it's a big trick for me. It's interesting. It's like counter to you. If you know already that people aren't going to be ready, well, so what? They're not going to be ready, but you can still have the screen open and be doing the same stuff that you would be doing anyway up until the very last minute, until people are ready.
Yeah.
So I would challenge you to make a promise.
Okay.
Right? Make a promise that you're going to do what? So what's something that you can take on for, I think people are more effective too when they set their own.
Yeah. Well, the big revelation I had from this is I'm going to start treating things like call times, because rather than treating the start of the appointment like the call time, which I am late to, you treat the start of the appointment like show time.
That's hilarious, because I do that when I have a commute, for example, for a meeting. And one time I thought I was late, and I'm usually not late.
Right.
I was late for my hypothetical call time. I was a full hour early, and I couldn't figure it out. I'm like, I don't have any attendees for this workshop I'm teaching.
Oh no.
Nobody's here. Like, oh no, what's going on? It took me a long time to realize. I'm like, oh, that was my buffer.
You're like,
time.
here I am, right on time, and all these people are late. Look at all. No.
I had I thought the start time was my departure time.
But that's actually a great little mind hack for me, because like we said in the beginning, I'm never late for a show. So if I look at the because to me, it seems almost absurd to go, all right, Sim and I, we're talking at 9 o'clock. So I'm going to be on Zoom by 8. It's like that to me. I'm like that. Why would I do that? But then now I'm thinking like, why wouldn't I do that? Because if I'm got Zoom, I'm ready to go. So that way we're just chilling so that when 9 o'clock comes around, we're ready to go. Any other thing I can do, I can just be doing. Any busy work I have or something like that, I can be doing.
Totally.
While
It's
I'm
actually
waiting.
more time efficient to be set up in advance
That's
and not have any glitches or anything.
Way more time efficient.
You could also have structures in place. Like, I have my generating call. I don't know if we've ever talked about this, but this is one of my, and so we could go on and do another thing about time management specifically.
Yeah.
So one of my structures that I have in place for getting things done is a call that I call the generating call, and I make promises where I'm held accountable to other people.
Right.
But we have a very punctual start time, and I have somebody on that call that she's always, so I'm always busy. She's always in a hurry and impatient.
Right.
And she wants to start on the nose. And so you could have somebody else in your life, a structure that expects that. So you actually miss it. Like I'm trying to convince my husband right now, his son is a teenager and he's late to dinner. The food is on the table. The whole family's eating and he's not coming.
Right.
And I want to actually clean the whole table and he doesn't get dinner.
Ah.
Right. It's like, if you want it, you could have structure. You could have things in your life that they happen when they happen. And if you're not there, they don't happen.
Right. But you've got to want it. I like the way you said that.
You have to want it.
It's like you've got to want it.
Yeah, it's just like drugs and alcohol or whatever else, right? There's a concept, we have less than 1 minute, of hitting rock bottom. No, it's you actually want to want it. You want to make it something else. So that's the number. So I guess we're going to end it here and say the cinnamon challenge for everyone today is just to get real with yourself, and anything that you hear that you've been saying that you want to change. The question I have, the challenge is, do you really want to change? Because if you don't want to change, stop saying it. Let yourself off the hook and be real with yourself. That's going to be your challenge. And then pick something you actually want to create for yourself and invest your time there instead.
I love it.
There you go. Okay. Jump off this and get on time to your next one.
You got it. Thank you.
Thanks everyone else for joining us.